What is up, my friends? It is Wednesday night's late night news roundup, and you are very welcome along. Over the course of this video, I'm going to be, well, butting heads a little bit with Jamie Carragher as I firmly disagree on his take on the Isak situation. We're also going to speak about Darwin Nunez and his impending move to Al Hilal. We'll talk about what on earth Liverpool are doing as we still don't have a centre-back brought in and the season is creeping up, and a couple of other interesting bits and pieces that I hope keeps you right up to date with where we are in this summer's transfer window. So we did ask tonight before we came on to record this video, would you be happy if Liverpool signed Bradley Barcola as the winger? And 54% of over 3,000 people that voted said no, they wouldn't be happy if Liverpool pursued Bradley Barcola. And I've got to say, I'd be in that camp. I'm not against us bringing in a wide player, but let's say somebody like Rodrigo is multifaceted, can play right across the front line. Can Barcola do that? I would say at a push, but he's too inconsistent for me. When I've watched him, I've been left frustrated with the amount of chances he misses. So for me, I don't believe the link. Quite frankly, I don't. And I don't see that he will be hounded out by PSG either. So it just feels like an expensive deal that I don't think we really need. But as I go through this video, do feel free to let me know your thoughts. Drop a like on the video if you enjoy it. And of course, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. So I'm going to start off with the story of Jamie Carragher around Alexander Isak, because he doesn't think Liverpool should be spending £150 million and quite frankly said that Liverpool should forget about Isak. So I want to just push back a little bit on this. Do I understand where Jamie Carragher's coming from about the price tag, £150 million? Yes. I've said all summer that is too high. I think Isak is probably a £100 million player. But what are the alternatives at this point? Liverpool are going to sell Darwin, have sold Luis Diaz, will probably move on Chiesa, and of course, tragically, we lost Diogo. So he's talking about this being Kylian Mbappe type money. It isn't, because if Mbappe was on at market value now, he's probably £300-400 million. So who else is my question to Jamie Carragher if you're saying that Liverpool should forget about Isak? Who else should we be bringing in? Because for me, the most important thing about this summer's transfer window is getting the manager his number one target, and that is very clearly Isak. Now, I understand CARRA said Liverpool have brought in Ekitike, but again, look at it from a sheer numbers game as well. If the money is there and the club feel comfortable spending it, I think we should want the very best that's out there. And Isak seems to be that guy in this market. So respectfully, I disagree with Jamie Carragher's stance on it, but I'd like to know what you guys think. Florian Plettenberg has said, Liverpool are working on a deal to sign Isak and a top winger. Still a little bit dubious about that, to be honest with you. I think a centre-back and a striker, maybe. A winger I wouldn't be against, but I'd be shocked if we went and spent 80 or 90 million on a winger after basically saying to young Rio, pathways there for you, fella. So for me, I think maybe a more multifaceted forward. But, you know, again, coming back to the conversation around Carragher, who are these guys going to be? Because we are now halfway through the window. Isak is still the number one target. Other players have moved on. And if Liverpool were to pivot away, I quite simply don't know where we go at this point. Mike McGrath has said, Newcastle consider Nicholas Jackson move after Benjamin Sesko blow. The Senegal striker is emerging as a serious option, will be available after the Delap and João Pedro misses. Also tonight, of course, we got the news, or we got the here we go, I should say, from Fabrizio Romano for Darwin Nunez. That is all done and dusted. He's going to fly over, have his medical. Fee agreed with Al Hilal and Liverpool. Wages agreed from Darwin's side. We think he's going to be on about £400,000 a week, by the way, according to some reports. So certainly worth his while financially making that move. Something Paul Joy said really interests me, and I wanted to read it out to you and see what you guys think. So he writes, Mark Gay has entered the final year of his contract at Crystal Palace, and Liverpool may follow up their interest depending on the asking price. There is strong interest in Parma's 18-year-old centre-back Giovanni Leone, who is also wanted by Inter Milan. Isak, of course, has been the saga of the summer, and the next instalment of that story cannot be far away. So I read this as Paul leaning into the fact that, yes, we are going to be coming back in for Isak. But interestingly, on the Mark Gay versus Giovanni Leone comparison, I can't be on my own in thinking there's a big difference between bringing in somebody like Mark Gay, who would be more than adequate cover should Virgil or Canada get injured or be unavailable or need to be rotated. Bringing in an 18-year-old No doubt he's a talent, but would he be ready to come right in now and play for 3 months if Canade was injured? I'd have my doubts about any 18-year-old being ready to do that. So for me, at this point, I'd feel way more comfortable if we move from Mark Gay, and I don't see why we aren't testing the water with Crystal Palace with an offer. Newcastle, according to Ben Jacobs, have held initial talks to sign Nicholas Jackson. Chelsea value the striker at around £80 million. I'll pause there for your laughter because you're right to laugh out loud. It seems like an absolutely insane valuation, but if they can get it, more power to them. Want to move on now to Dave C. Kopp, who said Newcastle's valuation of Isak is £150 million and they will stick rigidly to their price, according to the Telegraph. Now, you'll have to excuse me if I chuckle a little bit at this one because Newcastle have said a lot of things this summer and not many of them have turned out to be true. So first of all, we had Isak not being in the squad for the game against Celtic because he had an injury, only for Eddie Howes to say it was because his head wasn't in the right place. Then we knew that Isak had made it clear once again that he wanted to leave Newcastle and wasn't taken on the pre-season tour. Then he jetted off over to Sociedad to use their training facilities, and we were told that he was recovering from a thigh injury over there, but without any Newcastle personnel over there to look after that injury. Then he came back to the Newcastle training ground and was again getting treatment away from the rest of the squad. Today then they had the family fun day, and look, I understand them wanting to keep him outside, but it only again deepens that divide between Isak and Newcastle because this could have been a way to start the integration back in if there was any indication of willingness to do it from either side. So I don't think Newcastle will get £150 million from Liverpool for Isak, but let's wait and see how it goes. I also don't think that at this point Liverpool can pivot away because who else are we going to bring in? And again, respect to Jamie Carragher, I just very, very strongly disagree at this point. This summer was being about getting the manager's top targets and putting a squad together that frightens the hell of the Premier League and other European sides. And the days of make and do are over. The money is there. We're recouping a lot of money. If Elliott goes, if Darwin goes, Liverpool are at a net spend down of about £45 million. Certainly money there to bring in Isak. Certainly money to bring in a centre-back. And let's see how the rest of the window goes. So, that is it from me for now, but I do want to know your thoughts on the centre-back situation, the Isak situation, and do you agree with Jamie Carragher? Would you pivot away, and if so, who to? If Rodrigo's going to stay at Madrid, that could be another option gone. Bradley Barcola, well, respectfully, I would far rather pay the extra money for Isak than bring in him, but this is just one fan's opinion. It's over to you guys now to let me know your thoughts. Tomorrow, we will be back, same time, same place. Also, the Anfield Agenda podcast, episode number 2, went up today. If you can't, have a look at that or watch that and let me know what you think. You can find it on YouTube or on the Spotify video podcast as well. I'll catch up with you tomorrow. Much love. Bye-bye.